we have got an organized, large-scale player versus player combat for you today with 3 different matchups featuring the Arma 3 community group, Reality Gaming. These matchups will have their own objective focus, their own theme, be first person enforced, and each player only has 1 life. As a little bit of an extra bonus for you guys today, something we didn't announce before this stream, every single matchup today will be played on the new terrain coming with the Arma 3 Apex expansion. Today's games will be played on the islands of Tanoa. Now, before we get any further into today's broadcast, let me take a brief moment to introduce myself. My name is MicOne. I'm an Arma 3 fan, YouTuber, and community shoutcaster for this game, and it is an honor to be your lead caster for this event. But I only make up 1/3 of the broadcasting team here today, so joining me now is a man that's been part of the Arma community for a very long time. He is a leader of the Arma 3 unit known as Reality Gaming, and he joins me now in a co-commentator role. Andrews, good to have you, man.
Hey brother, good to be here, and as Mike said, hello again ladies and gents. We're really looking forward to putting on a great presentation tonight. It's the inaugural official Arma 3 Apex livestream taking place on Tanoa. My name is Andrews from Reality Gaming, and myself and, as I said, the RG Task Force are looking forward to putting on a really great showcase tonight on a new map, and it's going to be a real rumble in the jungle, Mike.
Rumble in Jungle it will be, and rounding out our team is our man on the inside. He is the Arma 3 community developer at Bohemia Interactive, Greg Beckstand, aka BohemiaBeck.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. BohemiaBeck here, community developer at Bohemia Interactive. I want to say thank you to MicOne for hosting this event, and also thank you to Andrews and the RG Task Force for giving us a show today. It's pretty excited. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, guys, it's going to be an awesome event today. We're looking at casting 3 different matchups, each one, again, having its own theme, different parts of Tanoa being showcased, from the inland island combat in the jungle to perhaps a little bit of a beach landing in our second mission. It's all good fun, and all with the Arma 3 unit, Reality Gaming. We have 47 players in the server right now, so that means approximately 44 will be playing as players in this matchup, and 3 of us as spectators. You're going to be seeing in just a few moments, we'll be loading into the Bohemia Interactive, spectator script that's available in-game for everybody to use. So if you want to do something like this yourself, you definitely can. Andrews, if you want to give to the guys the go-ahead, and we'll see if we can hop into the first game of today's event. Shots being fired right now in the jungle. Mars is live. Close quarters engagement, taking out an infantry close range contact. Helios is there too. And like we said before, this jungly environment, man, it's just so difficult to see any kind of contact in front of you. Grenades are probably the best bet right now. Wow, yeah, that was a close frag. Not able to get any kills. Mars is still alive. Helios goes down to fire. Obi is up there. First engagement ends with what I would call almost a green 4 victory, right?
I mean, it looks like it. We've only got a few guys left up there, many guys wounded and down. Looks like it was almost a wipeout for the entire Blue 4 team there.
Let's take back a look at that overhead perspective. Oh yeah, those units on the rocks there definitely took some casualties, but they're still alive and kicking. Taking a look on the other flank right there, nothing really to note, but we're still pushing on.
It looks like a crafty maneuver here, Mike, where one team has pushed forward ahead to initiate the engagement in order to draw the rest of the teams from the flank, but it looks like the independent force still have it very well defended and are firing here from a high effilade position onto the attacking Blue Force unit.
Absolutely. If you guys are watching on YouTube, I would recommend checking out the Twitch stream. We are good over there right now. The problem with the YouTube stream right now is I think we're set to a 720p encoding at the beginning. I switched that back down to 720, or 1080p at the beginning, switched that back down to 720, and that's why you're seeing a whole lot of blotches of colors. I do very much apologize. Hopefully the audio is getting to you guys. Head over to the Twitch TV, check that stream out. Contact continues to happen. Shots being fired at that Green 4 unit. Green 4, you can see, kind of maneuvering to respond as more units head to the front line.
Interesting to see how the NATO weapons and the AK-47s go up against one another in this engagement, and whether that has any effect on the overall efficiency of the units.
We can hop in back into that I think this was the eastern flank as they continue to move. It seems like if we head back into the overhead perspective, they're actually going to be shifting towards the rest of the Green 4 or rest of the Blue 4 rather than continuing on the approach that they had before. They know there's still Green 4 contact in front of them, and that is, was that Mars? Mars probably pulled back a little bit further. That's another Green 4 unit on that side. And it's gonna be a difficult push through this jungle, right? They want to try to get into the open ground a little bit if they have any chance of pushing this drone.
No, I agree 100%. Within this jungle terrain, you literally, in armor, have to walk on top of one another before you know you're there. With the camouflage some of these guys have as well, it's very difficult to ID those targets in the jungle.
Green 4 continuing to pop some random shots down at that Blue 4 team in the jungle. Shots continuing to be fired, although a little bit more sparsely as this matchup continues. Let's take a quick peek back at the drone. Is generally undefended at the location, but you do have two Green 4 fire teams surrounding it.
Roger that. I mean, within the command capacity, they'll be informed now where one another are, so I can expect this battle to turn into a little bit more of a cerebral fight where teams try to occupy key locations like the house over here with Blue 4, and just making sure that nobody can approach too quickly.
Absolutely. Taking a look at that frontline combat, and we might be seeing some more close quarters engagement as the first Blue 4 team led by Taya starts to head out of the jungle and into the town proper.
I see
Yeah,
some
it looks
engagement
like
now with their from the coastline there.
So Blue 4, as I said, they look like they're staging here, and as Greg said, sorry, Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're now seeing those guys advancing through the trees. They're starting to poke through there, so.
Still looks like a dominant Green 4 presence. I mean, these guys are keeping a lot of guys in reserve. They're hanging back quite a bit. The units they are sending forward seem to be to draw the Blue 4 out of their positions and create fire on that. That's then isolating them in terms of where their location is, and just allowing the teams which are in the defensive posture to sit tight and wait for Blue 4 to come to them. But at the moment, I think it's very much a Green 4 game.
Yeah, a lot of smoke being popped. Blue 4 tried to cross a whole lot of open ground. I think they did it successfully. I don't specifically see any casualties on that open area where they made that bound. 3 of them made it. A few of them, I think, stayed behind. Ninja Fox following up right now as that smoke continues to billow. That was probably one of the scariest pushes they've made so far. Taking a look from the Green 4 perspective, kind of down at that level. They crossed that some high ground, the Blue 4 did, so definitely it was a scary crossing, but you have to consider the range here, guys. If we take a look at one of the players on both sides, there is the Green 4, no iron sights there, or no sights there. Taking a look at the Blue 4, no sights there, so it's totally iron sights in this battle, so definitely that's going to limit their ability to fight at range quite significantly.
Indeed, I mean, Green 4 Alpha 1-3 are sitting very high, very nice position on that hillside. They can see the entire Blue 4 unit. It looks like Blue 4 have reconverged at that chalet. They've got a few washing lines there. Let's hope they don't need to do any laundry, but they're going to have to move out from this area and push forward. They're meeting up in force, though. If you take a look to the left of them, they have another unit joining them, so it looks like it's going to be a big push through the middle here to try and breach this unit that's in high cover so they can work their way towards the deep defenders.
Absolutely. More smoke being popped by that Blue 4 team. There is probably going to be a push happening at any moment as we take a look from that Blue 4 perspective. And man, they are going to be facing 2 Green 4 units directly in front of them. So it's going to be a tough fight for that Blue 4 team if they decide to make this push.
It is. I can't see them getting through here unscathed, and it's going to be decided right now.
Shots being fired as he crosses that gap, but bullets, I'm pretty sure, can penetrate this little bit of sheet metal. We'll see if they decide to continue to engage. A nice roll maneuver getting out in the open. Chris OB is over there on the Green 4 side, but he's being pushed by a whole fire team or a squad's worth of Blue 4 infantry.
This is
that
very
position's about to get
interesting here.
swarmed.
We've got some characters here. We've got the Special Forces leader from Vegas of RG going up against the 2IC. Christoph versus Caesar. Kato is also ex-member of Vegas, coming in from the 6. A lot of talent in this area, gentlemen.
Shots being fired. Yeah, Blue 4 definitely won as they turn that corner. 2 left on this pause. Chris OB saying, you know what, I'm going to get out of dodge here. We're kind of getting overrun.
Amen.
That is exactly the right decision to make here.
Indeed, he is falling back. I think he's got the wisdom to know he's outnumbered. The majority of the defending force are still where they need to be, watching over the objective. It only takes one Blue 4 to creep through and activate that drone, and it's game over. So they've kept it deep, and now Christoph is falling back to rejoin his men.
Taking another look at the battlefield from a bird's eye perspective, you can kind of see where the units start to stack up. Alpha 1-3, Alpha 1-1 for that Blue 4 team starting to push into the town proper. Alpha 1-3 has, of course, taken that rocky position. We've been kind of following the whole matchup up to this point.
We've got one creeping up, Mike, if you can see it. Excerpts coming up on the 6 here of Blue 4. He was hiding out in the jungle in deep cover. Looks like he's going to ruin their day.
I don't think, yeah, Blue 4 knows he's there, so we'll see if how much damage he can do. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a kill, but it's just to see
Slee coming in last. He's a little bit of a flagger. Slee was running up on the crew. He was flagging behind his team, and good job, because not being in formation paid off there. He managed to nail him in the back.
Saved him right as that Green 4 was lining up his shot, too. Last moment. Good play from that Blue 4 element right there. Shots continue to be fired over at the other flank. That Alpha 1-1 element for that Blue 4 team going to be moving up, albeit slowly. That's Taya from that Blue 4 team. I believe he was the leader of the RG task force when they played back in the Arma 3 endgame tournament, if that's correct.
That is absolutely correct. Tay was the community staff member that was nominated to lead the team, the 8-man strong team that took place in the Arma 3 endgame tournament, and I think anyone that tuned into that and experienced that really knows how much hard work went into from RG to put on the best show possible for the guys. So Tay is a real hero at RG, one of our top members and a senior staff guy.
You know what? As the matchup progresses, even taking a look at the numbers on the side here, I almost want to give... No, man. Blue 4 still has more numbers. We kind of, I think, gave the advantage to Green 4 a little bit earlier in this matchup, but Blue 4 has the numbers, I think, to kind of push through these Green 4 defenders and take that objective, especially on this eastern flank, where only 2 Green 4 are there to defend.
Yeah, I've noticed something happening here, Mike. Within the Blue 4 strat, it seems like the initial approach was to spread it nice and thin, keep the teams nicely spaced, and start to approach this objective. As time's gone on and the battle's unfolded, they seem to have realized there's a lot more safety in numbers, and it's much better to go in with more rifles pointing towards the enemy. So at the moment, you can see we've got Mars locked down with Breacher, the only 2 defending on this flank. The majority of the team are on the other side, but I don't think they know where Blue 4 are. I think they're being kind of pulled out by Alpha 1-1 here, who's only a very small element of Blue 4 unit.
Yeah, but I mean, Taya is there with another of his friends, and he's going to be lining up his shots to take out a unit on the rocks in front of him. Good shots, too. I mean, that he wasn't exposing himself very much. Taya now deciding to push up, but he will be flanked, shot, and taken down. His secondary unit going to be pushing as well. Will he notice where that fire is coming from? He's currently in the reeds down by the water. Going to be pushing back after taking some fire, but I hear a lot of shots going down on that other flank as those 2 units in that hut become engaged.
Yeah, while we were specking Tay there with the distraction and taking down one guy, looks like Blue 4's gone on a massive push, a lot of suppressive fire. I think Green 4's just twigged on now that the game is up and that they're on the wrong side of the map, essentially.
And
Chris,
Blue 4 has that height advantage there, too. And they're really putting down a suppressive fire.
Yeah, I mean, those shots being put down by that Blue 4 team, even with iron sights, fairly accurate towards the Alpha 1-3, Alpha 1-2 element in the background there.
So I think, as you said originally, Mike, Blue 4 have heeded your advice, hopefully not listening to the stream. They've really used that area of dense cover to approach the objective after a few teammates of theirs have sacrificed themselves in a distraction.
Shots being fired. Mars is inside that house. Breacher is as well. Trying to breach it, but how do you get inside? Only a few windows. The breach is happening. Mars takes him out. We'll see if he can close that door, set up for another breach, get his little defense set once more. Yeah, how did the Blue 4 approach this now, right? I mean, they know there's enemy in this house. There's one entrance, one exit. Shots continue to pour down to the house. Mars does go down, and I believe that's from the bullet penetration pushing through that little bit of wood.
Yeah, Breacher just will not die. There he goes.
Shots being fired through the window a little bit more. Not able to get him. He will be healing up.
I think this is great play here from Green 4. It's allowing them to move into position, set up some defensive positions in and around. If you look, they've moved into some higher elevated positions in the houses to get into a better spot to defend this push.
Breacher does finally go down to Zeppelin, who makes that push inside the house. The breach is complete, and this eastern flank, oh man, it's pretty well wide open as some other Blue 4 elements continue to push forward towards that drone.
Still got a team here based in the middle, Mike. Looks like their eyes on the prize. I think they're going to be pushing in slightly to secure that drone. But within the center mass, you can see the Green 4 are starting to huddle up around their objective now. The noose is getting tighter and tighter as Blue 4 move in. And
if you can kind of check out the dispersion of that Blue 4 or the Green 4 in the center, they're watching the approach of that Blue 4. They know that they're there, and they're kind of watching to see when they decide to make that final push across this open little bit of ground.
From now on, it's chess. Every man counts, so I can imagine them playing a bit more cautious to the wind. The teams have been relocated. Everyone more or less knows where one another is. It's just all about now who's going to peak, who's going to go down, and who's going to lose their composure first.
Taking a quick tactical overview of the mission, and yeah, you can see this is actually really good communication for that Green 4 team. They're deciding to relocate their units, kind of focusing on that eastern flank of the battlefield. The west is pretty well secured for the Green 4. I actually want to say it's anybody's game at this point. Green 4 still has pretty significant numbers and are in very, very good defensive positions.
I agree 100%. Anybody's game at this time, right down to the last man. I think anybody can clutch this, and there's some very talented individuals here. So,
taking a look from that Blue 4 perspective, Nelson is over there with Kato and Nikolai. Or Nikolai? Hard to get these names.
Any Nick is good.
Any Nick is good. We're actually going to hop in with him right now from the first person's perspective, and you can see in the background that alpha elements from that Green 4 team going to be starting to maybe push a little bit closer to where these Blue 4 is located.
Yeah, it looks like in order to get a slightly better position on Blue 4, they're abandoning the objective. Not sure how this will pay off in the long term, but let's see how it pans out. The focus seems to be around this highly elevated blue 2-story house, which gives great positions on the second story from the actual objective and the surrounding area.
Yeah, how are they supposed to attack this? This is almost like the strong point of the mission. Of course, from the front, they have that team on Overwatch way far back there firing down at these Green 4. But if they just stay behind this house, they can't be shot at from that angle.
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to close the angle of approach and prevent too many angles from being fired onto them. They've got a good eyes on the drone still. Stabcon sitting at base there with Helios. I'm sure they're committed to defending that to the last man. So, depending on how this team here does at the the moshy area that they came through here at the docks where the skis are, the jet skis, depending on how these guys come in from this angle, it's it's really going to be a telling factor. As you can see, their patience is really holding up. The discipline of RG's on full show here, I assure you, ladies and gents. This isn't them stalling or trying to not provide us with entertainment. This is chess, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
one life, right? So
one life
they get
only in this
taken out,
matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Blue 4 clumping up here, that's the decision they needed to make. They knew they couldn't make that push. That's why they were waiting there. They knew they were covered by Green 4 on the rise. If they made that push, a lot of them would have gone down. That's the exactly right decision to make. Push away, or what is that? Disconnect contact, or what's that?
Disengage.
Disengage. That's what I'm trying to going for. Disengage. Push around to another flank and see if you can attack that hard point from another location.
That's it. It's all about fire and maneuver. I think what they've learned is now they had good position at that chalet. They've smoked. They've moved away. They're trying to go around and get close. This is going to turn into a real CQB battle really soon, Mike.
Absolutely. Both teams now locked in kind of a struggle over that central position. That that eastern flank over where that smoke was all popped, unworkable from that Blue Force perspective. They're going to be pushing the middle now.
With training exercises, I think this blue building has been designated the Alamo, the linchpin essentially to the entire operation. Whoever holds this wins the game.
Kato engaging Gagrel. Does able to stay alive, so he's going to be pushing back to heal up. Nelson is firing out that window as well. That Alamo location you mentioned under heavy assault at this time as Blue 4 continues to push across that road and is very, very close to the Green 4 station on this location.
Stacking up now, looks like Blue 4 getting ready to move in.
Just on the other side of the walls here, they're going to have some close contact going down. Shots being fired, taking out the Green 4 above them. Good prioritization of fire there. Ninja Fox is there. Another Green 4 unit going down. Only one Green 4 remaining on that Alamo location. Blue 4 really doing a fantastic job mopping up this location so far.
Mr. Two-Face outside here, he is surrounded by Blue 4. He's got Zeppelin, Obi, Ninja Fox, and a great deal of the Blue 4 team in that building. He looks like he's sitting outside. I think he knows every kill counts and just trying to pick him off. He fires on the guy on the top floor and he goes down.
Ninja Fox being taken out, and of course that sounds like a heavier weapon, or maybe just a regular AK, but that thing sounds really, really cool.
Some of the sounds and the models and the guns that we're using tonight looks like an AKSU variant of the 74 that he used there.
Shots being fired again. A little bit of a panic shot from Obi. Doesn't know where it's coming from. Does take another one out is Two-Face. Gonna be pushed around the corner by Kato.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
Both players know it's coming. They decide to evacuate the area. Taking a look farther back, Steve Cake just takes a guy out right in front of his house. The push is real for that Blue 4 team. Let's take an even farther look back. Just a few
defenders, Mike.
Yeah, just a few Green 4 remaining.
4 defenders, I apologize. Yeah, 5 here, no on the radar now.
Man, Two-Face on this area. The Alamo is kind of being cleaned up by this one independent guy. Nelson
He's done a great job holding it.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of extended his lifespan too, staying out of the fight for a little while. Gonna be finally deciding to push back into the... Oh, gonna be taking fire too, and takes another one out. Great shots on his part.
1-on-1 with 9, and 9 goes down.
Taking a quick look at the units that remain. Not many Blue 4, really. Wow, so we've kind of seen a reversal of fate. The Blue 4 initial attack on this quote-unquote Alamo house, very, very successful, taking out a bunch of Green 4 without any casualties on their part. And then all it took was one independent unit to really turn the momentum of this game on its head. Blue 4 now with only 4, I believe, members remaining on that team, tasked with assaulting pretty well an almost urban and very defensible position that's held by Green 4.
I think this is when it gets serious. I think when the numbers level up, it becomes more about the individual skill, more about the one-on-one. We saw there Green 4 player get into a very nice position, just sit tight, let the guys roll in towards him. He was nicely covered, and now he's fallen back to join his team, and they've still got control of this UAV. It is a bit of an uphill struggle for Blue 4 from now on, but how they approach it will determine whether or not they win or lose the game.
Absolutely, and you have to consider right now that we are using the Acre 2 gameplay modification, and that means that they will be able to speak to each other in direct chat if these two players are close to each other. And that also means is that in order to speak with units from other elements, they have to be on the same radio channel if they're at range. So maybe a little bit of command breakdown as this match continues and command elements start to get taken out.
No, exactly. Once you sever the head, the unit can only do so good. What we're going to see here is a melange of maybe a couple of squads that are left over, uniting together to try and achieve an objective. It's in a much better position for the Greenford team. As you said, they can sit and wait. They're in a defensive position. They have the upper hand. They're in a position where they know the terrain a little bit better here. They've been holding this spot for the remainder of the game. So they're in a good spot.
The rest of the Blue Four in a little bit of a sticky situation. Try to push that flank around the house. Was unworkable. Steve is there covering it exactly. We'll see if Green 4 might make a little bit of a flanking maneuver with that Alpha 1-1 team, or if they're just going to hold firm.
It looks like they've been savvy to the fact that these guys are going to be sitting tight. They're lobbing in a few grenades. Nil effect up until now.
Good move maneuver on that Blue Ford's team as well. Try to push back around, work another flank. This is kind of where they got earlier, just across the road is that house that they were all clumped up on. But they managed to cross the road and get into a little bit more of a defensible position, but I'm not sure how they're going to cross this dirt road in front of them now, right? If they make this bound, their approach to their UAV is only covered by two
Here they go,
elements.
Mike. They're going for it.
Shots being fired. Steve Cake engages, doesn't get anyone. One makes it across.
Obi went balls to the wall. He took the cross. It was a difficult cross. There was only one person, which was Steve Cake, firing from the window at the time. They're covering the road, but you thought there'd be a bit more. I think they've made good use of smoke and concealment here.
Shots being fired, and of course he is probably aimed down sight right now. We can't exactly see whether or not he is. Nelson, as you can see, making the cross across that road as well. Does make it without taking fire. This is a pretty good move, actually. Yeah. Well,
it is, but if you look there, we had Helios there sitting behind the rib. He's very well concealed. He took down Obi there. He let him expose himself. Obi thought he'd won the prize and kind of extended himself a little bit beyond the vehicle. I think Nelson might make the same mistake unless something's relayed to him.
Helios engaging now and does take out Nelson. Yeah, great defensive position for Helios. You can hardly see him from that perspective of the Blue Four that just tried to make that final push. Another Blue Four does make it across, and we'll see if he's able to push any further. No, he does not. Another Green 4 unit situated just at the end of that concrete, taking him out. I believe if I check around the map, we do have one Blue 4 remaining.
Yeah, Blue 4 rests on Recruit Bob. So I think Bob's been with us for about a week, and I wouldn't expect too much, but who knows? Let's see what Bob can do.
Oh, Andrews, it's time for him to earn his stripes as he's pushing into a very difficult situation. Steve is there, but I don't think he's looking at the right direction. I think if he takes the road crossing here, he might just have a straight shot into that warehouse. Two-Face is there, and we've seen how deadly he can be in this game a little bit earlier. Watching that entrance perfectly. So, man, Bob has got a very difficult battle ahead of him.
Well, we never say never at RG, but there we go.
Yeah, Two-Face,
spilled out and
perfect shots. Defenders win. Wow, what a great first matchup. We saw just a little bit of back and forth, too. Green 4 had the advantage, then Blue 4, and then back to Green 4 to come out with the win. That little bit of maneuverability in the urban setting of that town really just changed the dynamic of that matchup. Flipped it on its head a little bit.
It did. It was a real roller coaster ride. I really thought that Blue 4 had it there for a long time. I thought that Green 4 were putting it back a little bit too deep, but in hindsight, it looked like they were committing recon units or small squads forward to harass Blue 4 to kind of get them to bunch up and then all approach from the same direction. Once they'd isolated them, they could move on. So a great mission all round.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we just saw, again, the dynamic of that milsim team play start off with a bunch of units really started to separate in their own teams, and then it kind of evolved into a sense where as the command staff went down, teams started to form together, they started to amalgamate, and you had to really work together with guys that you weren't really accustomed to working with earlier in the mission.
Exactly, and as you saw there, we ended up having a recruit being the last man standing, so it just goes to show it really just depends where you are. and timing and luck. And that's what this is all about, a lot of wholesome TVT fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of TVT in general in Arma. You just can't know what to expect. The dynamic of the mission, like you said, can change so quickly, where one player can just make the match totally different. We saw that, I think, from Two-Face in that game. He probably got, I wish I saw the score screen at the end there, but at least maybe like 4 to 5 kills with just a significant amount of players in a situation where the enemy team is consisted of maybe like 25 or so.
No, indeed. I think there's a real mixture of talent in RG. I think a lot of the guys here enjoy the co-op milsim serious aspect of Arma that we portray every week, but there are a lot of guys here, mid-20s, real avid PvP gamers, sharp as hell reflexes that spend a lot of time on Battle Royale. Shout out to our boys down there. All of the Epoch guys and DayZ in general, and these guys, they really know how to PvP.
Absolutely. I mean, we've really seen the skills of co-op gameplay kind of be transformed from co-op into PvP skills, right? I mean, the idea of working with a team to achieve an objective, the idea of identifying threats and disengaging when you know that you won't be able to push properly. And we've seen that time and time again in that mission where Blue 4 might have worked themselves or pushed into a position that they deemed unworkable, and they decide, oh, you know what, we're just going to disengage, pull back away from that contact, and try to work another flank. And that's something that's very impressive, as a lot of players you'll see will just try to make that push work. And pushing away and disengaging is probably the hardest part of that whole process.
It is. I agree 100%.
And just like from the community side of things, you mentioned, Andrews, you mentioned that you're usually playing the co-op campaigns or deployments. Like, how long do your deployments and campaigns usually last?
Well, we do. It's good. Thanks for asking, Beck. I mean, we do deployments at RG, which are these special missions. It's a series of 4 missions where we attend that for 4 weeks in a row, and essentially we up the ante a little bit. So things like lives are measured and assets and all these kind of things, and it's a tighter end of milsim. Not so much like hardcore, but just a little bit more pressure on the guys to perform, to value their lives, to think a little bit more about what they're doing. Essentially, what we do during the deployments is change our mindset. So we want our guys to come into Arma and treat it a little bit differently for those 4 weeks. By the end of the 4 weeks and the campaign deployment's done, believe me, we all need a good rest from Arma, but during that time, we do enjoy the achievements that we have, and it's the real way to appreciate the game. I mean, the simulation aspect of it and the milsim aspect of it. So that's what we do.
And for the milsim aspect of it, like, how strict are the commands structure or the formalities in there? Or does everybody need to say yes sir, no sir, or is it more relaxed?
Well, I think that a lot of the milsim units that are listening, and there are a lot of great milsim units out there, do things differently. Some do adapt the yes sir, no sir mantra. They have a very militarized structure. RG is more based around an old school clan or a community. So the foundation of the group here at RG is the command structure, is the military aspect, but that only takes place in game. That's when our guys really get stuck into what they're doing and role play, essentially. And that's when corporals lead 7 to 8 guys, and when everybody's rank has responsibility. Outside of the game, we've got an amazing staff structure, a dev group that produce all of the content. I'd just like to, during the break, send a massive shout out to Tay, Helios, and Mars, who are the core of our staff, really, and work towards producing this missions for the TVT stream. They've turned it around in a couple of weeks to try and capture something that would be entertaining and really work well for the Arma community tonight to showcase Tanoa.
Oh, definitely. I want to say thank you to those guys as well. It's putting on a great set of missions here and phases, and showing off the milsim with the whole RG task force crew. And like, one of the other things I wanted to say, like, there's a lot of milsim groups out there, like you mentioned, and we have the Armor 3 units website, so that's units.armor3.com. There's different milsim groups on there, and there's also non-milsim groups on there as well, just different units representing themselves there that you can find. And if you're playing Armor 3 or looking for teams to play with, or groups or milsim groups to play with, so that's one place to look at.
Exactly. Just to elaborate on that, and sorry to interrupt you, Beck, I'd just like to say thanks to everyone at BI. I mean, I think I speak on behalf of myself and the majority of the Arma 3 communities for creating something where we can all promote ourselves and have a unified place to have a voice and represent what we do.
Oh, definitely cool. So I had another question that I had. I just wanted to double check if my voice is okay, and you can hear me fine, I'm sure.
You are
And
green. We're all good
okay.
on the sound on Twitch. Unfortunately, I had to shut down the YouTube stream just because there was a little bit of a change from a 720p or from a 1080p to a 720p stream. YouTube does not like doing that. Twitch is okay with it. So yeah, we all sound good on stream.
Okay,
But we'll
great.
have this recorded off Twitch, and it'll be on your channel, Mike, as I understand it, on YouTube later anyway, so everyone can catch up on there if they need to.
We'll see where it goes. It might go on the official channel if it's of good enough quality, but definitely there will be a VOD of this stream in its entirety somewhere.
Roger that. Sorry, go ahead, Beck. You're asking a question.
Yeah, and just in general, like one of the other things, like community people that are new to Arma 3, I haven't been playing Arma 3 that long. And as far as like a group like yours, like how long do you think it takes for a new player to get up to speed? And there's a lot of different options with Arma, and
There is.
and you have training missions, I believe, and other aspects like that in your group.
There is. I mean, look, if you're out there and you're watching this stream and you're thinking you want to join a Arma unit, you want to get involved with an Arma group, it's really about, me regurgitating what everybody has said in the past. And that's really, guys, you need to just find the unit that's right for you. There's tons of units out there. Everybody does something differently. There's some amazing leaders in all these units out there. I'm sure some of you know very well, some of you don't. And essentially, you can look at what's read on a website or you can see what's advertised, but until you join the unit and experience it for yourself, at RG we offer a 2-week walkaway program, which is the recruitment phase. So I'm sure many other communities do this, whereby if you're looking for a group, you sign up, and rather than being fully committed and getting involved in something that's maybe a bit too heavy for you or even a little bit too loose, I mean, RG is being compared to being amateurs, to some of the more profound regimented milsim groups. So if you really do fancy that or something in between, it's really just about finding the right mixture for you and deciding what's right for you. So check out Arma 3 units, as Beck said, have a browse through, join a team, invest your time, spend a little bit of time with that unit, get to know who's there, who the people are. That's really important. If you're coming into it as an older guy and you want to go in and lead units, you're better off joining something that's starting up so that you can get a higher rank and be in that position. And if you're somebody that just wants to go with the flow, you're a working man, a family man, you've only got limited time, then you want to join somewhere where everything's taken care of and you can essentially turn up and know that there's a reputation there, a good standing in the community, an atmosphere you like and enjoy, that you can just get into every single weekend and enjoy yourself in. Essentially, your community should be your sanctuary. So it shouldn't be anywhere you go and it's an arduous pain in the ass to rank up or do anything. It should be right for you. So shop around, guys. There's lots out there.
Ready to go for this second game, I believe. If Andrews, you want to hop up in a virtual spectator position and give our admin the green light, we should be go for the second game here. It's going to be a beach assault on Tanoa.
Roger that. In spectator slot now. The go's been given, and we should be kicking off very shortly.
I'm excited for this one. So this one is going to be it's going to be an interesting matchup. We'll be put into the map screen fairly short, and you can see why. There has to be a decision made for that attacking team whether or not they want to use the assets available to them, in the sense that they are given rib boats, one of the new watercraft included in Apex, or if they want to just ditch those and advance inland towards their objective.
Exactly. I mean, I think it might be worthwhile, just while we're giving the guys a couple of minutes to get ready, just talking about the scenario. So, if I may, the tensions among all political parties are high after the infamous aerial drone incident. So, what we just saw there was the Garde Marie trying to, the security forces of the local area, the French security forces, moving in and trying to isolate that drone and essentially destroy the black box or the content or the intelligence that was stored on that. And this is the second mission in that part. So it didn't take long before the fingers were pointed and rumors were spread about CSAT's involvement in aiding the syndicate, the bad guys, the green forward is up against. So NATO's decided to seize the opportunity and aim to perform a precision strike at a CSAT field HQ located in Katakula. So there's different loadouts this time around, Mike, and should make for quite an entertaining fight.
Yeah, I'm excited. I saw some of the new weapons included in the expansion, and I believe we will have different guns for both teams in this fight.
We will indeed. I mean, just to talk about the units we're looking at here, team leaders, combat lifesavers, order riflemen, and riflemen. That's from the NATO side, so we can expect to see all of the vanilla NATO weaponry there, and the CSAT loadouts will be on display also.
Yeah, the Blue Fort, I believe it's the S-Dar. I think that's what it's called on the Blue Fort team.
You are challenging me naming fictional rifles, and I'm no good at that, so I apologize.
It looks fantastic, let me tell you, and it sounds even better, and you'll see that once we hop into game. I'll hop into first-person perspective as an engagement goes on. It sounds really, really good. You'll be blown away. Anyways, it looks almost like...
Looks like we're ready to go. I'm going to give the go now. We're ready to go.
Sweet. It almost looks like a Scar H, if you guys remember that weapon. A little bit like that with a little bit of a different kind of tweak to it, but it's a good-looking gun.
No, I'm yet to get into Tanoa and experience Apex and all of the weapon systems. It's so fresh and new to everybody in preparation for the stream. I apologize. I should be more knowledgeable, but I, like everybody else, am just finding out everything that's there.
And half of the most interesting part of buying this expansion and kind of waiting for it to release is exploring Tanoa yourself, right? There's a lot that we're not showing you in this stream in general, a lot of locations that we don't want to show you explicitly because there's for you to explore, whether it be temples or other kind of interesting assets scattered throughout this map. It's one of the most interesting islands, probably the best terrain from my perspective that BI has ever put together, and it really shows in the quality and detail.
Well, on a segue on that, Mike, I'd just like to say, with regards to Altus when it first came out, I mean, we had within LG, and I'm sure many other communities, sightseeing missions and all sorts of things to discover Atlantis and all the underwater secrets and the cave with the skeleton in and all these little niches and nuances that the devs have worked really hard on to sit down and put in these little attention to details that we can discover and find out. So I'm sure there'll be something taking place in different communities where they arrange excursions and tours of the island and everyone goes around and explores everything, finds the best places for the combat to unfold. And ourselves at RG obviously doing deployment, the next deployment on Tanoa, we'll be looking at good locations.
And absolutely, and if you're a fan of other game modes such as Battle Royale, I know PlayerUnknown tweeted out that Battle Royale Tanoa is coming, and if I'm correct, it might be already testing somewhere. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely the game is coming. And we're gonna have to quickly abort from my perspective, hop into another slot, get that spectator script working. There we go. Yeah, but Battle Royale Tanoa is coming if that's something that you're interested in. I know a lot of people are. It's a whole lot of fun playing in that game mode.
It is indeed, and this will make a real dynamic for Battle Royale as well. The cover, the locations, we've seen some great imagery and promotion from our man at Battle Royale, so who knows what's PlayerUnknown. Shout out to you, buddy. Let's see what happens, and hopefully it'll be as successful as it was on Altus. The fresh island and the new terrain, it just invigorates everybody, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we've been waiting for this for so long. The first expansion for Arma 3, and I think when it was revealed last year, I believe, at the PC Gaming Show, so just almost exactly a year ago, everyone was super, super pumped. We, of course, got a little bit more this PC Gaming Show with a release date and a new trailer. So I'm pumped to finally see this be staged, especially the co-op campaign. Can't wait to play that with a few guys myself.
Yeah, no, I think the hype is real, and there'll be a lot of footage on this in the future and a lot of great missions to come.
We're cut into the objective for that Blue 4 team where this Red 4 force is staged. A really cool looking town too, a nice big urban intersection. If we take a look to where the Blue 4 spawn, where are they at? I believe they're actually over here somewhere. They've got quite a ways to actually walk and or boat, right? Because they've got to cross this whole open ground between that Blue 4 and Red 4 staging area where the HQ is located. Taking a look at that Blue 4 weapon right now, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Looks a little bit M4-ish, but it's a cool looking weapon. Those drum mags on that AR variant is there as well.
Oh, the weapons, I mean, the attention to detail, outside of the namings, the attention to detail on the weapons within this expansion, within Apex, is real high quality. I mean, it's It's great to see the guys in the uniforms. It's great to see the guys in the kit, the weapon systems. We use a lot of modded content at RG. Typically, our mod pack is substantial to augment our NATO affiliation and to represent the realism we're trying to achieve. But it's always nice to see the quality work that the BI devs can do. And I think it's the models and everything that's on show tonight is all BI work. So it's good to see it.
Absolutely. A bunch of the new building assets as well. You can see on display the urban setting of Arma kind of transformed in this expansion as well. A kind of Caribbean style, or well, I guess in this case, Pacific style, with the kind of buildings available too. Like we said before, not as much enterable buildings, but I think that is done for a very, very good reason. And that is the jungles in this game are some of the most beautiful and detailed I've seen in any kind of game in quite a long time. And rendering all that is very, very difficult. So the buildings that are enterable as well are really, really cool. Just different environments, different layouts that we haven't seen before in Arma.
No, exactly, Mike. I mean, outside of the Unsung mod or any Vietnam era mod, RG has never been in a situation where there's been this much environment and foliage and just real concealment when it comes to the battle space. So it's going to change the dynamic of the task force, how they work and how they operate, and it's just great to see this jungle environment in an official capacity after many years of waiting. And it's really contrasting to the Arrowhead release, as I mentioned earlier before the stream, whereby this is a way to invigorate everyone that's got Arma 3 already and a way to bring new players to Arma 3.
Joining us now, as I think in chat, is Moondie7, a part of that victorious Arma 3 endgame tournament, Arma 3 ambassador team. Welcome, Moondie, to the chat. As this game continues, we're just going to be shouting out the rules for the matchup. If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, the players are only armed with weapons that have iron sights. If we actually go into third person, you can see that all players have only iron sights on their weapons. That'll kind of promote more close quarter engagements. Players have one life only and are restricted to use first person.
Roger that, and also, as per the briefing in the beginning, this is two traditional armies against one another. So we have two very well-armed forces against one another within this engagement. So a little bit different than a police force versus a rebel occupying element. Should make a different contrast in terms of the engagement pace and also the way that these engagements go down.
Absolutely. We're on board with Steve right now as he advances through a little bit of almost foresty-like terrain near this coastal area, pushing forward towards the Blue Fort to his front. You can see all the Blue Fort tags clumped together. That's the whole Blue Fort platoon kind of pushed into one big clump. And this is probably an interesting decision from the Blue Fort if we actually go to them and head out into a overhead perspective. You can see that the majority of them, actually the entirety of that team, decided to advance on foot. Left those ribs behind, said, you know what, if we push that way, it's a little bit too risky. I think that's probably the right decision here. I kind of did a little bit of pre-gaming on this map before. If you push out with those ribs, the guys on the shoreline with ARs will just tear you up. So,
tear you up,
yeah. Good decision.
In complete agreement. I think that sometimes when you're faced with a situation over speed and security, sometimes it's best to leave the assets to one side. If you've got that open top truck, but you're going to get there 5 minutes earlier, just walk it. And that's really what the guys have learned here at RG through their co-op operations. It's obviously, when moving in large areas, being an infantryman, being on the ground, sometimes it's just best to use your feet, put one foot in front of one another and move to the objective and not expose yourself in any vehicle or asset that can leave you exposed, especially over the ocean, especially with the group of Op 4 that are sitting back there at the docks waiting for a rush. You can see they expected something to happen.
Blue Fort deciding to split off into two different columns at this point. Alpha 1-2 and Alpha 1-3 taking lead for both of those teams. Ooh, it's going to be a tough push, even looking at the terrain in front of them. A lot of open ground as it starts to open up with a whole bunch of different fields and stuff. Alpha 1-1 for that Red 4 team is waiting for them. The rest of the team kind of dispersed in a coastal defense fashion as we can kind of take a quick overview. And you can check out the units spread along the coast. They're kind of expecting, I think, at this point, to be faced with a beach assault from that Blue 4 team, but a beach assault will not happen as they've decided to advance totally on foot.
Exactly. I think that they have not so much wasted a few units in defense here, but they're definitely going to not have any action for quite some time. Once again, the Op 4 looks like they've committed a team to pushing forward, and this is the greatest defense is a good offense. They're putting a team forward in a position that can spot what's happening ahead of the field, ahead of the terrain. If you see Blue 4 committing some of their team to approach Op 4 through the field area, this is to lull Op 4 into thinking that that's where the majority of the attack is coming from. But on the flank of Blue 4 on the outside, you can see Alpha 2-1 there moving out far through the dense jungle forest, moving through that area. They're going to use that area as cover and try to come completely around on the dock and assault it from the rear, which will give them the advantage, the QCP aspect of using the town as security and cover.
If you guys look out in the distance, you can see, wow, Helios with great eyes with those binos starting to engage Alpha 1-3 elements from that Blue 4 team. Some single shots going down, launching some suppressing fire at the Blue 4.
Yeah, and that's the devastation of Arma. Even in iron sights, you can see Helios able to suppress them and let them know he's there and he knows where they are. And that's really what changes the dynamic of the game. It forces the other team to either respond or simply change tactics.
Jonas Point leading that element that was just under fire, going to be pushing forward to a little bit of hard cover, a one-story brick building, kind of saving his team for now from any oncoming Op 4 fire. A little bit of smoked pop too to get them out of dodge. But Red 4 definitely know that they're here right now and kind of can relocate the rest of their units to meet that advance. Let's see if they're doing that. All maintaining stagnant right now, but they at least they've sighted the preliminary forces of Blue 4.
Roger that. I think there's a little bit more of a battle space in terms of this operation. The military forces seem not to have gone as headstrong as the Garda Marie, and they are using the environment to their advantage essentially and trying to really flank the enemy, which is what they should do with this preliminary team, because the thing is with this front end team, as we've seen before with Christoph and the boys, they're not stupid. Once they're engaged and they're lit up and they're at about 70-50% efficiency, they're just going to fall back, and it's just going to get tighter and tighter from then on in for Blue 4 to keep on pushing and pushing and pushing. So let's see how they approach it this time.
Absolutely on board with Helios once again. Well, I mean, in free cam right behind him, you can see the rest of his team out in front. A nice separation between them two. You don't want to be huddled up too close, each one with its own hard cover in front of them, a rock wall on the left and some trees on the right. But if we take a brief look, pan all the way over to the right, we can see far in the distance Alpha 1-2, Chris OB leading that team through the jungle on the flank of that Red 4 team. And like you were saying, this is probably one of the better tactics, one of the better strategies that Blue 4 could have used here, right? Push forward along the coast with a primary team, take some fire, draw some Red 4 in. With the other unit, push way around the flank and then try to strike the Red 4 from that flank while they are distracted.
Exactly, Mike. I'm just looking here. If you look at where the position that Blue 4 are approaching from, you can see this vast field where there's virtually no concealment or cover.
But they are
for them
making
to
it
achieve their
work.
objective.
They're gonna have quite a crawl in front of them, indeed. But
they're gonna have
pushing
quite a
forward
crawl
through that field, there's no way that the Op 4 can spot them at this point. This concealment is top notch.
I think it's top notch. I think they're out of the way. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Alpha 1-1, the front-running recon team for Op 4, whether or not they pull back and try to close them off in the dense forest just behind them, or whether or not they fall back to the actual town and try to defend from there. But overall, it looks like a bit of a stalemate in the sense that these guys, as you said, they're just sitting there, they're just letting them know they exist, they're not getting killed, they're just moving slowly, moving methodically, and trying to make the Op 4 guess. And that's really what this is all about. It's about intelligence and about where the enemy is.
It really is a war of maneuver to begin here, and you can check back at some of the coastal defense forces. I'm on Sergeant Wilhelm right now, and he's kind of looking out towards where you expect those ribs to come from. But, of course, those beach assault craft are stuck at spawn. Nobody's loaded into them. Totally infantry for this matchup.
And that's a wishful thinking from Wilhelm. He's probably sitting there licking his chops with his automatic rifle, waiting for those ribs to come storming in. But that's what Arma's all about. I mean, you lay the assets down and you let people take it away. And these guys within the leadership structure of the Op 4 and Blue 4 team, although we're all Brotherhood tonight and all RG, they are approaching this in a way that they do want to win. So you can see that they're using caution to the wind. This isn't a run and gun, in and out type of exercise. These guys are trying to get the upper hand. I think they're moving out perhaps a little bit too far for my liking as in Blue 4, but it looks like they're trying to make maximum use of the concealment and the cover of the dense jungle in this environment.
I'm getting a little bit of shades of like World War II crawling through the fields of France vibe from this Blue 4 team right now. They've made it at least halfway across this field so far without being spotted. So definitely it's working in terms of concealment. Haven't taken fire in quite a while, but we do know that the Red 4, Helios especially, knows they're out there somewhere.
And that's it. And that's the great thing about the suppression aspect and the realism aspect of Arma. Op 4 know where Blue 4 are at the moment. They could essentially order everyone to just fire into this field and hope to hit something, but instead they don't know. And the discipline on show here from the Blue 4, slowly but surely creeping up. They can see where their concealment is. They've got some trees here on their left-hand side. They've got a building shack just ahead of them. Once they reach that, they're going to be in engagement distance, and they're going to be in a much better position to start to push this Op 4 front line.
Absolutely. Did I miss these guys? I think we might have actually had the ribs being used. We actually did, and we totally missed it, Andrews. The ribs were actually used by that first Alpha 1-2, Alpha 1-1 team led by Taya, and they've pushed on the extreme flank, so they are on the total opposite side of the island from where Chris OB and where was that? Jonas Point was crawling in the field. There's a significant amount of Blue 4 here too. Wow, sorry
let
we
me
missed
tell you
that.
something, dude. I tell you, Mike, when a team does enough to fool the commentators that have spectator view of what they're doing, there's something seriously crafty going on. So props to the team here that have managed to literally go the long way, and let's see if it pays off. I mean, they're coming through the jungle here, and they're in a prime position to assault this location.
Absolutely. I actually want to head back to him. He might actually be taking contact fairly shortly. Although it's contact he sees, he's looking directly at that Alpha 2-1 team. Quite a ways away, though, just cresting that hill right now. Will be silhouetted on top of this hill, too. So if they advance a little bit forward, they will be out of range from that Blue 4. But silhouetted right now, Blue 4, Taya know where they're at.
Well, they've made it to the house and grenades are going off, Mike. You can see the engagement has started. Whoever's idea it was to get to that house undetected, it worked well. But now that they're there, it looks like the forward-looking position from Op 4 has ID'd them, and they're starting to lay some fire down.
You're talking about Jonas Point's position. Yeah, forward. Wow, great GL going out. Did that take anybody with him?
It did. Look like one man went down in that GL.
Two men went down in that GL. Fantastic. That was at least, 200, maybe 300 meters away. Boom, right on that position. Shots being fired. GL fire continues.
And with the loadouts tonight, it's all about the leaders of each individual reality gaming troop allocating the right weapon system to the right squad. So it looks like they've used that end-game tactic, put some GLs on the front line, and are causing some havoc.
A bunch of Blue 4 members taken out in the first real engagement per se of this matchup. The rest of them are now halted before they can advance any further. I don't necessarily think they have to eliminate the hostiles in front of them. They probably do have to, once again, disengage, pull back around, and see if they can take another flank forward.
Mike, just to bring your attention to the rear, looks like the huge Blue 4 force which is moving in has engaged a very small element of Op 4.
Just as I snap to Taya, I do see some red smoke going off. We're on board with Taya right now. Grenades going off from his perspective. Close quarters engagement between Red 4 and Blue 4 over this rise. Grenade fire going off.
Looks like an engagement on both sides at the moment, and it looks like Red 4 are pulling back. They seem to have realized a mistake has essentially been made. Although we have another Alpha 2-1 unit, Mike, if I bring your attention to the Red 4 unit, trying to flank the secret Blue 4 unit.
Taya is moving their direction, though, so This is going to be an interesting situation for the Blue Four. They might just be attacked on two flanks at the same time, and although they do have numerical superiority at this time, I'm not sure if they can push through with, getting attacked from two different sides at the same time.
It's going to take a lot of command experience to know to pull your teams back at this stage. I think that the security here lies within Op4 bounding up within those two teams to fight Blue 4. Blue 4 at the moment, they're very tight. They're moving in. They're isolating Alpha 2-1, and they're going to neutralize that crew and then move down to Alpha 3-1. Once that's been taken care of, we have another Alamo with Alpha 2-1 stored in as the remnants of the team, which looks like they're falling back into now. And the engagement of the preliminary recon team from Blue 4, the distraction force essentially.
Man, that was a GL if I've ever seen one. 5 players. That's at least 20% of the team going down with one shot. Wow, that's why you don't clump up. Great fire, effective fire from that Red 14. Kato is the revolt roles have kind of reversed now. As Red 4 is crawling in the field towards Blue 4, there will be close quarters engagement as this Blue 4 unit decimated by that GL.
It just goes to show, Mike, one well-placed grenade, and it's a GG. I don't think the game's over yet, but that's definitely going to have a big impact on the flow tonight.
I'm watching Kato, who might just be coming out of close contact with Rob and Mr. Two-Face in just a few seconds, or that's Bob, excuse me. The recruit, the last remaining survivor from last game, pushing forward with his buddy on his flank. We'll see if he can take out Kato as the engagement continues over by the oil drums.
It just goes to show a lot of posturing, a lot of maneuvering, getting into the right position. And then once you're there, unleashing the force and being as devastating as you can. Intelligence is key. Once the enemy knows where you are, they can start responding. So it looks like the Blue 4 posture may have paid off, but Red 4 are responding very well and fighting valiantly at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think this 3-man element has taken any casualties yet. Nope, all 3 of them still alive. Very impressive maneuvering right now. I actually want to take a quick peek back at Jonas Point, see what he's doing at a generally the same location as he was before, a little bit maneuvered closer, but I don't think he's actually going to be facing the same kind of contact he was unless that Red 4 maneuvered away. I think that Red 4 Helios element has pulled all the way back towards the objective HQ, meaning that Red 4 team, or that Blue 4 advanced Jonas Point has a clear shot into the town.
And this is it. I think it's just starting to unwind itself. I'm very surprised that the main surprise element of Blue 4 wasn't stronger and didn't push heavier. It looks like Alpha 2-1 have really bogged them down. They've taken some elevated positions on top of those oil silos and they're providing fire. They're in the field there as well. It's been real slugfest to get through this flank.
Absolutely, and again, for everybody that's just joining us, welcome to the stream. My name is MicOne. I'm joined by Andrews, the leader of Reality Gaming, as well as Greg Beckstand, aka BohemiaBeck, the Arma 3 community developer at Bohemia Interactive. We are shoutcasting live a large-scale 45-player player versus player matchup for you today on the beautiful island of Tanoa.
And it is beautiful. I'm thinking about taking my next vacation here, Mike. So if you've got any tickets, please send them my way, won't you?
I will do that. As I mean, Kato's going to be getting into close contact with Bob right now. Andrews, I don't know, man. It'd be pretty scary, man, with all the grenades and GL fire going off.
I don't know, bro. I wouldn't want to be in the middle of this. I mean, look, some of these IG guys, they're animals. They're playing, as I've said, all these PvP games all of the times. It's the first real environment they've been put into combat. I think we're seeing some very unorthodox maybe PvP TVT gameplay here, but look at Alpha 2-1. They're very well rested. They've pretty much circumnavigated the town. They're going to be coming in force on the rear here, and I really do feel that battle fatigue is going to play a part. I mean, when you've been in the engagement and your adrenaline's up and then it's gone and then you get a little bit lackluster, it seems like there's fights going on here, there, and everywhere, and it's very difficult to shout. Just action-packed.
Interesting situation right now between Kato and Bob, just within, 3, maybe 4 meters of each other, but are blocked by a little bit of, what are these, probably not hedges, but plants in between them.
Foliage.
Yeah. Gonna be just bypassing each other on their crawling adventure as they continue to push towards where they think the enemy's located. Blue 4 has, in the meantime, pushed back. That's the great thing about having player versus player combat is these players are genuine. They are good players. It's just that with that kind of foliage and in that kind of setting where you're alone, it's very difficult to spot enemies.
I think it's worth mentioning as well, the guys here, they've got great rigs, everything's maxed up, there'll be a lot of smoke, a lot of fire, a lot of fatigue. This really isn't about winning for either side tonight. They're just having a really great, entertaining experience on this new map and thoroughly enjoying the competitive nature that this TVT environment brings.
Absolutely. That 3-man Red 4 element still holding strong. One unit from that Red 4 team decided to climb all the way up on this oil drum. We'll be having a little bit of a height advantage, and that is the AR gunner for that Red 4 team, mounted up, bipoded up, ready to fire at enemy forces if he gets sight on them. I don't know. It's going to be difficult. They are pushed back into foliage right now.
Isn't it funny though? You can really see Recruit Bob, a new boy, second time mentioned tonight. I think that Bob is somebody that knows how to play PvP. He knows that patience is a virtue. Sitting tight and waiting for the enemy to come to you to lose their composure, especially when they're in numbers, is going to happen. So right here on the flank, he's representing the Blue Force side, and he's just causing a pain in their ass. It means they can't relocate their squad. They cannot move until this guy has been killed.
Absolutely.
And they know he's there.
Of course, he is a recruit, Andrews, in Reality Gaming, one of the oldest in a very, very large European Arma 3 milsim community. How can people join or get involved in this unit if they like to?
It's very simple. You go to realitygamer.org. If you like what you see and you meet the basic requirements are you're here on Wednesday, you're here on Sunday. If you've got the time, you sign up. And essentially, we've got some great leaders here. We've got some great people. We are as you said, homegrown Arma 3 unit. We are somebody that's been here since the beta, since the Arma 2 days, and we just offer a place for people to come in and get involved. There's no real pressure on anybody. I mean, this is a gaming clan, we're not some prestigious milsim unit that's unapproachable. It's just really a group of guys on the internet having fun, and I think it's in full demonstration this evening.
Close quarters contact back on, I believe this is the western flank now. Between Spec and Riot on the other team is now going to be pushing forward into, which might just be right into the sight lines of that Red 4 unit. He's got some windows to look out to, a lot of hard cover as well, but the first kind of Blue 4 elements pushing forward into the town, they are pushing forward from both sides. If we take a look on our map, we can kind of see actually a really good perspective of what's happening. Yeah.
I see Steve Cake on the roof. I see 9. He's looking in the wrong direction, but his spirit is good. These guys are still very much alert. They don't know this Blue 4 team are here. Otherwise, they'd all be looking in their direction. That's a key way to know what's going on in terms of their response. This is going to be a surprise element. And if I know Tay and his leadership skills, he's going to be wanting to make a final impact with this Blue 4 team.
I mean, let's
Steve Cake now.
Yeah, let's not rule out Chris OB, though. His element... Whoa, man, they've actually pushed significantly far into the town, right near the HQ building as well. And
Chris OB,
that's
as
a
I said earlier
element,
on,
yeah.
Mike, sorry to interrupt, but
No
Chris
problem.
OB, as I said earlier on, a tried and tested combat leader at RG. I'm expecting to see a lot from him and his unit this evening.
That is a untouched, fresh element. They've just been flanking, maneuvering this whole game to get into the position where they're at now. We do have a bunch of Red 4 units posted on the roof near the HQ building, but we'll see if they'll be able to see them in time.
It's developing into chess again, isn't it? It's this period of time when the mission starts to devolve into where are they, how can we kill them, and how much do we commit?
Just might have missed that engagement. And that's another part of it. It's very difficult to snap between both sides of the map where the action's going down.
It is.
Riot.
That was Riot and an op forward unit. They're pushing forward. He's leading the charge here. We've got Stahl, and may I mention Stahl is a veteran of RG now, back from the Operation Reality days. Stahl's been with us for a very long time. He spends a lot of time on PvP, and these guys, they really know how to move.
We're just seeing some push forwards right now. Tristan engaged on the other side of this road. Ooh, this is going to be a very tough engagement. If you can see in the background there, those little triangles.
They're drawing him in, aren't they?
Each of those triangles are another Op 4 infantry.
Well, it
Close
looks
quarters.
like Alpha 1-3 is reinforcing to prevent this Blue 4 push, but close quarters again, Mike. It looks like inside the building, Stahl doing his work and taking one man out and healing.
That's a 5-man Blue 4 element making significant progress on this flank. I want to go back to Chris OB for a second, see where he's at. Moved a little bit forward. Not quite at the main street yet, but definitely getting close.
And once again, Tay and the boys, they are moving in even further. Believe it or not, everyone's in radio communication here. So once again, just to remind the viewers, these guys are talking to one another. Everything you see here is being responded to in real time. So although we can't hear the chat, there is a lot of discussion about where to go, what to do, and where people are. And that's what's affecting the movement here.
Zeppelin was being healed by his buddy, but takes some fire as he was shooting, and his buddy healing him unfortunately goes down. Still a significant force here.
You know, casualties can bog you down. Sometimes the enemy shoot people in the wrong places to make sure that people are bogged down trying to heal, and then you bite it. But unfortunate for Zeppelin there.
We're on board with True Gangrel right now. He's in one of the enterable buildings of Tanoa right now, and ooh, this is an interesting position to be. He's kind of looking towards that Blue 4 advance, taking heavy fire. You can see that little splash of blood on his screen too. Just got shot as well, decreasing his maneuverability even further. But this is a pretty good defensible position. Lots of windows for him to shoot off of. He can kind of push back towards the wall and out of the sight lines of the Blue 4 as well.
Just zooming out here, Mike, from a top-down perspective, it really is anybody's game as Blue 4 start their final, what looks like their final aggressive push, and Red 4 really hold tight.
Absolutely. The game continues into its 28th and a half minute. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this so far, thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate your viewership. If you want to follow the Arma 3 official Twitch channel, you can do that by clicking that follow button in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen.
It looks like, Mike, Alpha 2-1, which is a Red 4 team, bring your attention to the forest just on the outskirts of town. It looks like they're completely redundant at the moment. I think they're hunting down Blue 4 in this forest, but it looks like they've been more efficient than necessary, and now they've really taken themselves out of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a team, though, that is arguably the VIPs of the game at this point, wiping out what is probably an entire Blue 4 squad, entire Blue 4 fire team, as well as their commander. But yeah, only now starting to be oriented towards where the battle is located.
I think this is where the real cohort comes into effect, and when the command structure as a higher command element would have moved that team from the forest into the town to respond to the Blue 4 threat a lot sooner. But as you can see, just being an independent, roaming, overly efficient squad, they've essentially removed themselves from the game. They are moving back in now. We have a lot of engagements taking place between Alpha 1-3, Alpha 1-1, and Alpha 2-1, which are the Tay element. That's the team that snuck around all the way around at the beginning there that we were so focused on. They are now starting to make their impact.
Yeah, firing first for one of the first time, a really effective fire. That was super loud in that building. Jonas Point putting some shots down over by Helios. And behind Helios' position, two separate squads of Blue 4 infantry of 4 men each pushing forward. The courtyard over by this HQ building is stacked with Red 4, so they might be kind of making the same mistake that Blue 4 made earlier, though. They're clumping up a lot.
They are indeed, and as you said, those grenades make short work of clumped units. I think that at the moment we're looking at two split teams of Blue 4, either side of two elements of Red 4 in the center. Although we do still have two auxiliary or contingency units of Red 4 on the outside of town. One approaching from the east, one approaching from the west. They're moving into the town now, and they can really make up the numbers and make up the difference.
Zeppelin going to be in a close quarters engagement with Bulbs. We'll see if he can see him. As that unit pushes forward into the courtyard, shots being
it's kicking
fired
off in the town now.
Riot goes down. Bulbs is still alive and continue to engage. Is flanked. Small's engaging down that alleyway. That's a perfect angle for him.
You're calling it smoke being used, tactical smoke being used, Mike. People converging on the church and on the green roof house there, making sure that they've got some good cover. But this is where the exchanges will make the difference in the battle.
One Red 4 remain in this alleyway, I think. Yeah, just one of them left. He's actually pushed inside the building a little bit. Oh, this is a pretty neat entrable
There's going to
building.
be a very tight engagement between Obi and Zeppelin. They're virtually next to one another here, moving into... Zeppelin's backing off, but Blue 4 and Red 4 essentially on top of one another at the moment, Mike.
Urban close quarters CQC fighting at its core. Not 100% knowing where your enemy's at, but he's definitely close by. Obi, if he decides to push around this corner, might just catch Zeppelin unawares. Is inching out slowly, but Zeppelin dodges out of the way just in time. Smalls is there.
Oh, what in the back?
Wow, that was just a double. It might have. Oh man, that was Nikolai coming out clutch from the 6. Yeah, that was a double kill from his spot. I think probably like 1 or 2 bullets just took out both those guys at the same time. But they are facing another full strength Blue 4 element just across the road.
Here we go. Jonas and the boys moving in from behind them, Mike. We've got L Street, Ninja Fox, and everybody else moving into that tight compound. Let's see if Nikki and Obi can hold these guys off.
Jonas under fire from Obi. Does go down. Or maybe from Helios from across the way. Obi and Nikolai under fire again. We'll see if they can pull through. Jonas Point, the leader of that Blue 4 element, does go down. The command structure a little bit stagnant now. I mean, they are losing a bunch of guys that were in command with, were in touch with the higher leadership, right? Of course, we are using the Acre 2 mod. That means in order to communicate at range, you have to do that by radio. If you lose the guy that's on the channel with the higher elements, you lose the ability to communicate.
Exactly, Mike. And you know when the shit's going up, when it's hitting the fan. Whoa,
when the Blue 4 take the objective. And that's what was happening there, ladies and gentlemen. Blue 4 in control of the objective and will win this game. An awesome fight all around. Man, we saw just a little bit of maneuvering at the beginning, a little bit of downtime, a little bit of field crawling, but it came to an epic conclusion in this battle for the town.
A little bit of a slow start, methodical start. I think people had learned their lessons from the first engagement and they really wanted to make an impact. But boy, once it got going, it's clutch in terms of those initial engagements. The numbers that go down, the people that die, that's what really makes the difference.
Absolutely. Great fight all around as we move into the third battle for the night and the final battle for the night. And this one's going to be pretty interesting. Definitely more complex than the ones we've done in the past. So in this engagement, I believe it's going to be almost like a 3-faction-based mission where we will have players both on Blue 4 and on the Op 4 side, and they will be battling against a central Green 4 AI faction for control over a press element. Now, they have to control the press element, and whoever gets control of them by the end of the game will win. Of course, they are both battling the Green 4 at the same time. Green 4 is hostile to all the units, and so it's almost endgame-esque in that respect, but it's going to be an interesting engagement throughout the matchups as both teams engage Green 4 and engage each other at the same time.
Exactly, and as we go on to the final mission, there is a slightly different dynamic, and I'll give you that in a moment, but for the time being, the element of engagements tonight has been so different in terms of you can see the thinking in the guys' heads. They don't just want to run and gun. They really want to make some kind of maneuverability in terms of the map or the environment to turn it to their advantage. But it was a shock ending there towards the end. It looked like the amount of Blue 4 that had occupied the space. And what are we looking at now, Mike? 1-1, as I believe?
Yeah, I mean, both teams did come out with a victory. First game, it was the defenders, and second game, the attackers came out with a V.
Well, I've just brought Beck into the channel with us. Apologies there, Beck. I understand you were disconnected and couldn't join the channel. So just to reach out to you now, Beck, and talk about the current operations and how you think they went.
Yeah, it was it was pretty dynamic all along. I saw those the Blue 4 really split up their forces and really had a good strategy of like going around from all different sides, and I think that really put a surprise for the opposing force there. So, but it was quite interesting to see. They had that long distances that they had to cover, and there's a lot of open ground with not a lot of cover that they could get to. So. Yeah, it was interesting to see, and at the end, seeing them come together in the town, that's where we saw that close quarter combat come into play.
And I still can't, still can't believe we missed half the team advancing on red boats.
Dude,
wow. And that was both
they
of us
completely,
too.
They completely went behind enemy lines to the point where the people that are in spectator didn't know what was going on, and that was unorthodox. And that wasn't anything that was trained or done. It just looked like Tay had decided that he wasn't going to take the direct route. He was going to take a little bit of a longer route, and in the end, that really paid off. I think the Op4 put up a hell of a fight there at the silos. I mean, there was some incredible engagements. Once again, the PvP element within RG showing strong patience, just sitting tight, laying in fields, waiting for the enemy to expose themselves to take that opportunity. I think that a lot of the battle modes in Arma promote that. Within real war, I mean, within realism, it promotes it. If you've got two guys going up against one another and another guy doesn't use his cover or concealment properly, or is too much of, too rushy, they're going to pay the price for it. Myself, coming from a PvP competitive Call of Duty 2 background, I-Series background, we had a lot of clutch moments where it would really be about patience, and it's just great to see that dynamic at RG and see people taking that into account and holding up entire squads as one unit, essentially.
And part of the area of that that's so impressive is the fact that even as communication starts to break down, even as team members and leadership goes down, you still see clumps of units hanging together, cooperating with one another. Cohesion remains even though the command is kind of stifled at that point.
We have to give that to the buddy system. I mean, everybody knows about the buddy system. When your communication goes down, it happens in co-op, it happens in other deployments even. Sometimes the enemy launches a grenade or a rocket and it goes in the wrong direction and the wind is just right and it lands on top of platoon command or another unit. And once that command element is severed, the show must go on. So the guys pick up their rifles, they communicate with one another, they convey what they're trying to achieve, and they keep on going. And I think that's been really tonight, or evident, apologies, in this evening, because the guys have just kept on pushing, regardless of who's gone down. And we've seen Helios and big players like Tay, who are leading the units, go down fairly early, but still the units persevere.
Absolutely, and I mean, like we said in the first game, and we kind of saw it in the second game too, with that GL going off. Just one small little thing can impact the dynamic of the match so much that, Blue 4, especially that assault force of Blue 4, really lost a lot of its combat effectiveness when the 5-unit force went down.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. The devastation of high explosive within tight areas is very much on display within Arma. So if you are in an area and your team isn't keeping formation, or for security you bunch up to keep that arc of fire, very quickly you can be made to pay the price.
Absolutely, and I think we might again see that in this game. It is a little bit of an urban setting where the press unit is located, so we will have some more urban combat on Tanoa coming up in just a minute or so. We're just getting the last final members slotted up from this mission. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is of course running on the release candidate build of Arma 3. Everything you see is work in progress and not vindicative of the final product. But that being said, if you want to access Tanoa and all its assets early to help perhaps just get access to the maps, to explore, or even to provide feedback to the developers, you can do that by pre-purchasing the expansion. And of course, it will come out in full on July the 11th.
So this is it, Mike. We're approaching the final of the 3 phases that we had, or the showcases we had for you this evening. If I may, I can give you a quick introduction to the presidents for this evening, or the briefing for tonight's operation.
Let's see if we can get into the map screen, and then let's hear that briefing, because I'm not 100% sure what the story is behind this final phase, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting as we have a press AI that needs to be captured.
It's a true HVT environment. A little bit more to think about for the attacking force now. So what happens when you put a element in the mix which cannot be killed and needs to be defended? The security aspects of the team change, the Op4 designation changes. They are no longer just defending a landmass or a UAV, they're now looking after a person. So how do they treat that individual? Do they put them in an area that's locked away and no blue 4 can reach, or do they put them exposed at front and center so that the op 4 can't use the efficient grenades that they used in the past? There's many ways to use hostages, and there's many ways to use assets which aren't physical assets in the game. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight to the hostage, the high value target, and whether or not RG respond according to that. Of course, within the blue 4 team, if the hostage is killed, it isn't 100% success. But if the hostage is dead and all of the op 4 team are killed, who's to say we can't give them a paycheck, right, Mike? Exactly. And within our normal co-op operations, obviously we're a lot more prepared. The guys are a lot more informed. But the great thing about this TBT element is the unknown. What's going to happen? Who's going to do what? Nobody knows. We have a vast variety of RG members here in a variety of skill levels in mixed teams responding to different things at different times. So it's just completely chaos, brother.
Rip, rip, rip. Am I good, guys, now? I think I muted my mic accidentally. Sorry. Hopefully the mic quality is good and that hiss isn't happening. We'll wait for it to catch
Well,
up.
just what we're going up for that, we're just waiting for, as I understand it, everybody at RG to get ready. It looks like we're almost ready to go, so should be kicking off in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully my mic is working again. I think I muted it halfway through that speech, which was interesting, so that was fun. But we're getting into it. I think, Andrews, we might just be waiting on you to slide up, and we should be good to go.
That's the way I like it, Mikey. Waiting on me, so I'm ready when you are. Should I give the guys the go, or are we all ready to go?
At least I'm good to go on my end. I think my mic's working once more.
Yeah, it sounds
Let
fine
me just
here.
quickly convey with the guys and hand it over to you and Beck for a moment while I make sure everyone's ready.
Absolutely. Last round, ready to start. Beck, thanks for hosting this event. I kind of got rocky in the beginning. Try to make that YouTube simultaneously streaming on YouTube and Twitch work. Unfortunately, it just didn't. I forgot that if we went offline, we couldn't switch the stream from 1080 to 720. Irregardless, we're live on Twitch. Thank you so much for sticking around, everybody. 570 viewers. We were up at 720 before, fluctuating between that number. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sticking around.
Yes, thank you very much to everybody, and thank you, MicOne, for being such a good host, and thank you, Andrews, for just representing your RG task force. It's really great.
Hey, I do anything I can. I'm just doing the best I can here with Mike. I tell you, the true talent here this evening, gentlemen, is MicOne. He is the voice of Arma. He's somebody we'd love to see more of in the future. And once the guys are ready, if you guys are sticking around, let me promise you, this third phase is going to be the best and biggest yet. There's going to be a lot of action here, and we've saved the best till last, as everybody else does. So let's just see what happens. The guys are shouting out to me, Mike. We still need 5 minutes. So, Beck, if you've got anything you'd like to say or any questions or anything we can do, fire away, brother.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you guys for that, and just to explore for people that are looking for groups to join, and what we're seeing today is a community group in Arma 3 playing some typical mission styles that they've come up on their own, being creative. And usually you guys play the co-op milsim, where it's your team against the AI, and today you're doing something quite different. So thank you for stepping out of your normal co-op milsim stuff and doing this team versus team show today. It's really good for the stream, and it's been enjoying to watch for sure.
I mean, we're definitely outside of our comfort zone today. As I've said earlier to the stream and to our viewers and to everyone listening, we are a milsim group. We're a co-op milsim group. RG pride ourselves on being one of the top-end entertaining milsim units where we have fun every single Sunday. But we have a task force, and we are an events community. Reality Gaming put on some great things. We've got some World War II things coming up in the future by Stabcom, one of our members. We have tons of things happening at RG which are outside of our typical co-op milsim task force. static frame. I mean, that's really what we're great at. That's what we're good at. That's what we've been building here at RG for the last 7 to 8 years now. So it's just great to step outside of our shell, outside of our comfort zone, put the guys into an environment they're unsure of, they're unfamiliar with, see how they react, and really showcase Tanoa this evening and create something that's entertaining for the stream.
And I mentioned it before, but I'll just mention it again in case we have some new viewers. You have your website where you will coordinate most of your communication and coordination with your team, but you also have an Arma 3 units site. And if people don't know about it yet, it's units.arma3.com. There are a bunch of different community groups there. If you're looking for a community group to join, you can set your filter up. You can filter by where you live, your time zone, your language. So if you're looking for a team to join that plays different game styles, then you can find it there. Units.arma3.com.
I think we're just about ready to hop into the third game. Andrews, if you want to give the go-ahead, we are ready to rock.
Go, 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 Given. Let's get it on.
Man, I'm excited. I kind of looked at the terrain here earlier. Blue Force starting on a little bit of a rise, and we'll see that on the map screen. So it's going to be an interesting fight as they move down the valley almost, or move down the mountain towards the town where the press guy is located.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it just creates, anybody that's played milsim, anybody that's played Arma knows that when you get two guys going against one another, that's one thing. But when you put something in the middle that's a high value target or an asset, it changes the way everybody thinks about what they're doing. So it's going to be interesting to see whether it's as cautious to the wind, whether the same type of tactics are used, or whether or not it's balls to the wall, guns blazing, and what type of scenario RG take on board tonight.
So I'm pretty sure the civilian that both teams, the press guy that both teams are going to be trying to attack, I'm pretty sure he's in this building located on your screen now as a scribble on it. That yellow marked building is the main objective for both forces. We're going to have independent forces scattered throughout this town. Blue 4 starting location and Red 4 starting location will meet in this center point, and we'll have ourselves a nice urban conflict to end the day.
So just to recap, we have a situation where the first mission was more of a push into an asset to secure it, secure the intelligence, and disable it. The Blue 4 had a win condition by simply getting into the town, so it was really Op 4 or Green 4's objective to guard the town. And this time it's a little bit different.
Absolutely, as we hop into the game, and I think first thing first is let's check out that Blue 4 starting location a little bit on the mountainside. They also have an asset of a chopper. I don't think they'll be able to use these, though, if I'm correct, Andrews. Are these just static?
I believe these are static. They should be for display purposes early. If you will, Mike, I'll give you the, just while the guys are mustering up and moving into position, I'll give you the details on this current operation so we know what's going on.
Got the Blue 4 starting location a little bit off, but Andrews, let's hear it.
Well, we've got scenario 3. This is the Tanoa Freeway. Quite hard to say that if you're an Englishman or a Londoner, like I am. A member of the press has been captured after getting his hands on some classified documents of the syndicate. So that team we saw defending in the first instance, this guy's a bit of a press guy. He's got hand us some very sensitive information, and I think we want to get hold of this guy. He was able to hide the intel before his capture, and the syndicate is trying to extract the info from him now. So essentially he's under interrogation. So these guys are having to move really quickly because time is of the asset. If they don't get there quick enough, we'll spill the beans, as we like to say. Both CSAT and the CTRG have interest in the intel and have deployed to the outskirts of Tanoa to get it. So this is another town within Tanoa, and who will be able to secure the intel and survive the battle. So this is a two-way thing. We've got a group of guys interrogating somebody at the moment to try and extract intel from them. We've got a group of guys moving in to find out what the hell is going on and stop those guys from interrogating this guy and rescue him, essentially. We're looking at, once again, very sophisticated loadouts, the CTRG loadouts and the CSAT Viper loadouts, which should make for quite an intense battle.
Absolutely. Both teams starting to get geared up, and I think Red 4 will have access to these light strike vehicles. These things look like a whole lot of fun to drive. Nice miniguns up on top too. I didn't even think they had that. That's awesome.
As I've said, I think you, as well as me and everyone that's watching this stream, I mean, come on, who's had the time to put down every single unit since the release of the sneak peeks and everything else to try out? I know there's been various YouTubers out there that have done some great introductions to Tanoa. Just the big boy out there, he's somebody that's done something and showcased the entire Tanoa, and some great YouTubers as well have done some shout outs for all of the assets and units. But I myself, just with work and schedule and everything else, haven't had the chance. So this is really the inaugural first sneak peek of Tanoa and the assets that are available for me and the task force.
And even in game, Vanilla Arma 3, the base game, we're going to be seeing a huge influx of players as the 15th anniversary of Arma as a series has just gone by, met with big sales on Steam, and now with the Steam Summer Sale, there's a lot of new Arma 3 players coming in. I think at one point on the 15th anniversary, Arma 3 took up 3 slots in the Steam top 10 sellers list, so very impressive sale numbers for Arma. We're going to be seeing a whole lot of new players entering the game over this few I guess over the few weeks, and even a few weeks past.
Mike, just a segue on that, to anybody that's seen Lord of the Rings, fresh meat is always good for the community. So get those rookies in, get them trained up, and get them used to what's going on. I mean, Arma's a great game. It's available for all levels, and like we spoke about earlier with regards to who to join and what to do, just shop around and find the right team for you.
Absolutely. We're on station in the center of town right now, and you can see in the distance both Blue 4 and Red 4 units on approach. They do have a little bit of ground to cover before they get into striking distance of these Green 4 AI elements, but we're going to be seeing if they even can use those light strike vehicles. There they are.
Well, I'm leaning on you now, Mike, with your spectator prowess to identify where these sneaky attacks are coming from, because last time these guys managed to get in vehicles and disappear without us seeing. I'm still zooming around trying to locate the units and find out what exactly is happening. So please, keep us informed.
Well, it's what these light strike vehicles that are going to do. That's the main question. They can get into the objective super quick, whereas all the other team members, are stuck with walking on foot. So wherever these light strike vehicles go, and maybe they decide to advance all the way around towards the enemy side of the battlefield, that's where we're going to be seeing some significant plays.
It's going to make the difference. Let's see how they pan out and use the assets. As I said earlier on, assets in terms of logistics, transportation, lightly covered vehicles, boats, even cars with miniguns. They can sometimes alert the enemy to your presence. They can sometimes let the guys know you're on your way. So it's going to be interesting to see how RG approach this tonight.
Absolutely. First Red 4 units entering what seems to be a oil refining complex. Fairly near the town. I think the Blue 4 might have started just a tad closer, and we'll get there before the Red 4. Again, it's what those light strike vehicles are doing that is interesting. They're sticking together 2 by 2, advancing towards that Blue 4 team.
Everybody's pretty much on the move. There's some nice formations on display here. Once again, I apologize to the stream. If what you're seeing here isn't your usual type milsim approach, we are running split crews tonight. We're running people that aren't in the same teams they're in every single weekend at RG. We really wanted to mix this up tonight to create an environment that was competitive yet challenging for the guys. I mean, there's no point putting our special forces groups and our air corps and everybody else in one unit and everybody else in the other. These guys are really mixed up, and I think it shows, but it's going to create a little bit more chaos and that unknown environment that's entertaining.
We've seen those light strike vehicles park up on the hill, have been spotted by Kato from that Blue 4 team. Going to be taking cover behind some one-story shack right now. We'll see if they decide to engage. Might not be a good idea to engage from this range. Of course, there's a minigun on that truck, and they can light up this valley super easily. Not a lot of cover besides the shed, and those minigun bullets will just rip through that.
We saw a lot of this in the in-game tournament, moving quickly, using the terrain to your advantage. It doesn't really matter about numbers as long as you're in the right position. If you've got good cover and you're in a good fire position, one MG can make all the difference. And as we saw in the previous mission, one grenade can change the pace of the game.
Absolutely. The minigun from that Red 4 team on that truck, not looking in the right direction towards that Blue 4 team, instead scanning the valley towards the center of town. I do hear GL going off. I'm not 100% sure, but Blue 4 now deciding to engage. Yeah, dismount that truck, and he's going to see if he can maybe move it away. That's a significant number of Blue 4 firing right now.
It is, but we still haven't got Alpha 2-1 in there. It looks like the forward element Alpha 1-3 are moving in, and they're preparing the base of the fire. But we really want to have a line across that branch there. You want to have all individuals firing on these 4 guys to the points where they can't poke their head up and they can't neutralize you. At the moment, we're making good of bounding support. Looks like we've got 2-1 supporting on the background while 1-3 are moving up. Grenades in the field.
Yeah, those are close, very close grenades to those advancing infantry. A significant number on that hillside now.
But look at this. Looks like someone's been spooked and they're firing behind them for some reason. I can't see any enemy in that position, but it looks like they wanted to lay down some support fire in that area.
Could also be firing down at the AI into the town. We might have, yeah, Green 4 firing back at them. That's what's happening as well. Minigun firing from that light strike vehicle right now as Blue 4 advance on their flank.
It looks like the elevation are allowing the Op4 team in the main factory compound to also provide some support fire onto that AI.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit of a rock and a hard place situation for this Alpha 2-1 element. They're taking fire from both the Green 4 independent forces as well as Blue 4 on their flank. Man, this might spell disaster for this element if they don't evacuate their position very soon. Lots of numbers.
They could be overrun.
Yeah, very much so. They might just be starting to do that too as they realize they're taking fire from somewhere where they should not be, and that's their 6.
That's right. As you know, it's always difficult to respond to 2 fire positions at the same time. It compromises your squad security, the morale of your team. Nobody knows where to look, though it really causes confusion. It looks like Blue 4 are taking it easy and just keeping the pace of support fire up as the initial rush team move in to secure those rockets.
Absolutely, some small arms fire going down right now, but you have to wonder if Blue 4 can actually take out Red 4 behind these rocks. A pretty good parking spot to leave the vehicles if they wanted to escape, but that time might have come and gone.
It's hard ground, it's hard cover, it's high ground. It's very difficult to overwhelm an enemy in this position. They really have a bit of an uphill battle, quite literally, but they're doing very well at the moment. It looks like they're bringing in support from their flank as well.
Yeah. Wonder what the rest of the Red 4 units are doing, just pushing out from that oil complex. Did take out some Green 4. I saw some firing here earlier. Main action is happening over by these rocks, though, as there's only 2 Red 4 remaining.
They put up a good effort. I think that's really what they were supposed to do. If you look at it, Blue 4 are a little bit more clumped up now. They're kind of spread out. They're having to adapt to this, and it stalls them for the main infantry force, which is now moving in support.
Blue 4 from across the town actually supporting their friendlies on their flank by engaging those light strike vehicles from range too. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, each of these weapons only have iron sights, meaning firing it from this kind of range is very impressive if they do get a hit.
Indeed, some heavy fire coming from those light strike vehicles at the moment, Mike. Looks like it's really giving Blue 4 a bad day.
Alpha 1-2 from that Red 4 team. Jonas Point taking lead, going to be the closest ones towards that press conference, or that press AI's location. I'm not 100% sure if either team knows where this press guy is located, so they might just have to do some house clearing before they figure that out.
Yeah, it's a general location. I mean, I think the briefing was this guy's in the town, so it's going to be fight by housing, and I think we're going to see the Op4 start to regress as we did in previous missions and really consolidate themselves around the defensive positions once this mission starts to tighten up and a few of the units are down.
Those Red 4 units cramped in a corner and continually under fire from 2 different directions.
Between a rock and a hard place. They've still got grenades, they've still got good cover. There's no way really Blue 4 can overrun them from the top side unless they come over the rocks and shoot down on top of them. So it's just a case now of sitting tight and being as much value as you can be.
Absolutely, it's just a waiting game to see whether or not that Blue 4 element just nearing them, only 100 meters out right now, will decide to push or wait. Red 4 is going to be the one to make the play, though. Crossing that open ground.
I mean, they know they're bingoed. They know that position is compromised, and you can see they are pegging it tooth and nail now. Red 4 have pulled out. Those 2 remaining units are just trying to get the hell out of Dodge.
They know, Blue 4 knows that they're still there, so Blue 4 putting some shots down on these two remaining red 4 on this flank, as their last position pretty well compromised. 2 units on top of that.
On the opposite side of the battlefield here, Mike, we've got the alternative Blue 4 unit moving in. They've completely saturated that jungle area to the forest. They're just waiting for the go, it looks like, to move into the town and expose themselves.
A firing line if I've ever seen one, as they decide to form back up and continue their push. It looks like Tristan leading that team.
Tristan, once again, veteran member, solid member of RG, led the infantry group here at RG and then graduated into the Special Forces group and is now a solid member of that team.
Those 2 red 4 units near the Light Strike Vic's going to be looking back at their old position over that rise. Might be able to pick up Wright and Wilhelm if they push up too quickly.
Yeah, this is the turn of the battle. We've seen this happen quite a bit, haven't we? We've seen a lot of engagement followed by a little bit of a downturn in the fire, people tidying up a little bit. I mean, look at these 2 guys over here, Mike. They are literally bogging down 2 whole Blue 4 teams with a support element. They don't know how many red 4 are there. It could be 10 guys, it could be 2. They just don't know, but they're making enough presence that it's being felt.
Stephen Wright exchanging some shots. Wright does go down. Wilhelm is there. Nikolai is going to be pushing around the flank. These 2 guys, like you said, holding firm. Andrews, you got kicked. That's fine. You'll hop back in just a few moments. As this battle continues, I don't think the press guy has been found quite yet. Alpha 1-2 for that red 4 team getting really close by. That Blue 4 is just about to take fire. It does go down above the rocks. Affy putting down the hurt on the Blue 4 that tried to push him. They've actually done a really good job at, kind of slowing down the Blue 4 approach at this flank. And I don't count that many Blue 4 on this flank anymore. There was at least 2 squads worth.
There is some more units behind the rocks out a little bit further, and they're circling around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are still a cohesive unit too, so that's at least 5 guys pushing. But Red 4 does have a really good position on that rocky complex. Even engaging before they reach there, so Blue 4 knows that there's enemies nearby. I wouldn't be surprised to see them frag out this area.
Yeah,
Shots continue to ping, yeah.
Yep.
Shots being fired back in the town as the spearheads of the 2 major Blue 4 and Red 4 elements start to meet head on. Want to quickly snap back towards those 2 on the rocks. I think they've actually taken out another Blue 4. They are going to be pushed from both sides. You can see Affy watching the left, Steve watching the right. Shots being fired. Takes out another Blue 4. These guys holding these rocks down.
Wow. Yeah, they're holding it there. They were
3.
getting encircled, and they've been holding it.
Well, I mean, even surprising is the fact that they've pretty much pushed themselves to be opened from the area of Alpha 1-1, who is now engaging their position. But of course, at range, very difficult to get those shots to land where you want them to. Nelson going to be pushing forward just a little bit, trying to see if he can make that flank work. Decides, nope, not going to do that, pushing back around towards his teammates. Another push from that Blue 4. Affy's there to counter. Will he engage? Biding his time. A little bit of foliage too there. Affy actually not looking where those Blue 4 are located, looking instead across the valley.
Yeah, he was taking some fire across from the valley there, so that maybe, yeah, that's pushed him down.
Yeah, they both pushed down. They realized, you know what, we're pretty much compromised from that direction. Going to be pushing around the other way instead. Matt is there to meet them. Close quarters engagement. Who will come out on top? Matt's waiting for them. He knows they're close by. Both guys line up. Shots being fired. Affy goes down. I think, yeah, Steve is up just a little bit above him on the rocks, too. So there is still one Red 4 here. Taking shots at Matt, and will take him out. One Red 4 remains, on this flank. 2 Blue 4 left. Wow, these 2 guys doing work. 3 kills for Affy. Let's see if we can check out the other player. 5 kills for Steve. That's incredible gamesmanship as this game continues.
And the two blue 4 units that were there, they are moving down into the town. So Steve is up on his own now. So I don't know, he'll figure out soon that he can move down probably.
Pushing back into the town, both Red 4 and Blue 4 coming into close quarters engagement. Of course, a totally different kind of fight now in an urban setting here. Some buildings, like the one you see behind you, I believe are slightly enterable, so there can be some close quarter secrecy fighting as this matchup progresses. I still don't believe that press unit... Oh, there we go. Press unit probably has been secured by that Red 4 team. They totally understand where he's at. The AI defenders neutralized below him, so Red 4 under control of that press AI at this time. Blue 4, can they make a push towards that site? They are trying with that Alpha 1-1 element, but they will be facing an entire Red 4 fire team, kind of stopping them in their tracks. Although, that being said, they are clumped up 4 guys into one position. Only really 2 guys able to be made use of right now on either side of this building. A little bit of verticality, and I'm kind of surprised by the verticality of Tanoa urban fighting. A lot of these buildings you can hop up onto the roof. We can see Blue 4 making use of that right now. Williams from that Red 4 team going to be engaging. Two-Face is there to fire back. Shots being fired. No one does go down, though. Fire being exchanged down this alleyway. 2 versus 1. Red 4 with the numerical superiority. Face is going to be pushing back around.
They're using, they're making smart use of that cover there, using the fence, using it to their advantage.
Wasn't able to make it away, though. I think he might have just gone down to a really, really well-placed GL. No, just made it into foliage at the right time. Even still under contact. Red 4 maintained control of that press unit, that VIP, though definitely the advantage going to them so far. Ninja Fox going to be pushing around that corner. Let's hop on board with him. Zeppelin facing those units up on the building, engaging. Does take fire to his arm. He is injured. And will be crouching and down to heal up and see if he can fire at those units once more. I'm not sure if he actually got any kills up there. Maybe he did. Took one out.
Yeah, he
Looks
did.
like he got one there. I'm just joining you back on the action. I just want to announce, and the play-by-play on the individual aspect has been fantastic. Mike, please keep that up. I think everyone's really interested to see how these guys respond to one another individually as well.
Ninja Fox entering one of the enterable buildings of Tanoa, decides no one's in here, not a good position to make use of at firing at the Blue 4. That Blue 4 team inside the town whittled down quite significantly. Only 4 remain in the town proper. The other 2 Blue 4 units, they're a ways away. Back up where those light strike vehicles were located and really not being able to make use of at this time.
So just coming back into the action, Mike, looks like Red 4 here have been very aggressive and very dominant. There's not many Blue 4 units left. Can you correct me on that?
Not many left at all. I think I count only 6 remaining in this matchup.
Closely consolidated. They seem to be occupying the rooftop position there. Do they have the HVT? What's the status on the HVT?
The Red 4 has control of that high-value target, and they are holding with 2 units inside that building. The rest of the Red 4 team pushed back a little bit, Alpha 1-1, maybe to regain some cohesion, patch themselves up, and decide what they're going to be pushing next. But those 4 Blue 4 in the town, still, I think, a threat.
And very interestingly, Alpha up for Alpha 1-2, pushing way back now. If you zoom out, maybe look at the...
Oh, yeah.
No, I noticed that.
Yeah, I actually haven't noticed this element in quite a long time. Jonas Point going to be taking a flank, perhaps pushing around those Blue 4 that they encountered just a little while ago.
There's a lot of open fields there, not much room for them to use those fields to get in on top of Blue 4 very quickly. So perhaps they're using that concealment of the tree line to just follow the natural field and maybe make their way back around on the flank, as you said, Mike.
Taking a look back at that high-value targets building. It was just snapped away. Sorry about that. Let's see where he's located. Still over, I would assume, over by that stairwell. And that's pretty darn effective cover if I've ever seen one. That's, I believe, a drum mag on that weapon. Yeah, just looking down that stairwell, anybody that enters, I think this building does only have, well, it has a few enterable locations, but that is the main one, and it's covered directly by that Red 4 AR.
Just looking at Alpha 1-2, still speculating exactly what the objective of those guys is. They seem to be way out of the battle space. We've got a tight Blue 4 team occupying roofs, really being patient here. I think they don't want to go down without a fight. We've also got a Blue 4 team occupied in the mountainside. They're elevated very high off there, and they looks like maybe they're relaying some intel, giving some elevation in terms of position, or they could just be two cut-off infantry units from a squad without leadership. Can you elaborate on that, Mike?
I think that's probably a real possibility. The unit that these guys were a part of really got shredded on the location where they're at now. Two members of Red 4 being really stand out. 5 kills and 3 kills apiece for both those two members that in an engagement that took place here just a few minutes ago. I wouldn't doubt if he's cut off from communication with command and or the guys that are left on that Blue 4 team.
Going full Ronin in the hills there. Let's hope they move in and really add to that Blue 4 team. I mean, obviously, if they were in radio control, they'd more than likely be called to posture up and support that 4-man unit, that very small 4-man unit. But I really am oblivious. Whoa!
Yeah, I think Red 4 did have a certain timer on that high-value target. Will come out with a victory. Red 4 with a dominating performance in this matchup.
And there you go. So I didn't understand exactly what was going on. I apologize to everybody. I had a bit of a Steam crash there, which kicked me out of the game, so I kind of came in halfway. But essentially, win conditions were met. Can you enlighten us there, Mike?
Absolutely. Red 4 did maintain control of that VIP target for the right amount of time to be declared the victors. And I think it's been an awesome 3-game series we've had today. Andrews, thank you so much for co-commentating with me.
It's been an absolute pleasure being here. Fantastic to be representing RG on the stream and to give you guys something to watch today. I really hope everyone within the Arma community thoroughly enjoys the new release of Apex and Tanoa. I think there's a lot of great operations in the pipelines, guys. So to everybody out there that's taken part to watch the stream tonight and support it, big thanks from me, and I really hope to see you again in the future.
If you want to visit Reality Gaming and maybe check out what they have to offer as a European milsim group, you can do that by visiting realitygamer.org. And BohemiaBeck, man, thanks you so much for letting us do this. Thanks for so much for coming on and commentating with us as well.
Thank you for hosting it. Thank you to Andrews and people that haven't seen some of MicOne's videos before. You can find him on YouTube and the Friday Night Shoutcast that you've done. You've done hosting for such a long time. And I really appreciate that you were able to come in and host for us today. So thank you. Big thank you for that. And a big thank you to Andrews as well. And the RG Task Force. Like everybody in your community group, it's really great to see them. And they put on a great show today. And especially thank you to Mars, Helios, and TAE, for putting those missions together. And it really showed today. Thank you.
Well, let me just say from us to you as Reality Gaming and to everyone that's listening on the stream and to all you guys out there that run your milsim groups, we really have a great opportunity here. Mike is essentially the #1 broadcaster for Arma in terms of the voice of Arma. I think this stream this evening has been fantastic, and I look forward to being part of anything you guys put on in the future. So big thanks to Mars, Tay, Helios, as you said, Beck, everybody at RG that really put in the hard work to make this happen. Big shout out to Arrow, big shout out to Blade, big shout out to Cutlass, big shout out to Dusak, Vegas, and Talon. That's our milsim units. Those guys were the people that turned up this evening, took their time out of their evening to do something a little bit different, and engage one another in a combat, which I never really ask our community to do. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that's been involved this evening, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Be glad to do it again.
Reality Gaming putting on one heck of a show this evening. Again, guys, you guys did a fantastic job. Big shout out to your mission making team. Thank you to the moderators at r/arma3 on r/arma, excuse me, on Reddit. Those guys helped out with promotion. Big thanks to them. And again, guys, we really hope you enjoyed. A little bit of rocky start, great conclusion. Thanks so much for sticking with us. And until next time, I'm MicOne, and you're awesome.
Talk, Delta 10. Be advised, that's my call sign complete. Now moving to Objective London. Out. Roger. Launch arc. PID all packs. Go when ready.